Good afternoon from an overcast West Cork. We're absolutely delighted to have a little bit of cloud. The last 2 or 3 weeks there's been blue skies and very little water, so it's lovely to get a little bit of shade, which it's strange to be hearing that. As an Irish person, we do love it when the sun shines, but I think we have shade for a few days and a few clouds, then we'll be back to the sun. So we finished off the foundation 2 days ago, and Toffee wants to say hi. Hey Toff, what's this? So we finished off the foundation. Claire put a hole through the back of the house so we can move stones and wheelbarrows of dirt as we clear out the piggery and demolish the back kitchen. Yesterday we had kind of a chill day. I got my stitches removed, so that's healing up well. And then we took Ashton to the ferry. He's going to Irish college for 2 weeks, so yeah, we dropped him off. Just sad goodbye for about 2 minutes, and it's like delighted to have no kids for the next fortnight, so happy days, we got a bit done. Right, let me show you what we have. Foundation. You want to come, Toff? Foundation gone in here. So this isn't level. Once I put down the first course of blocks for the footing, I will properly level it. These are the boulders Claire took out when we were fighting the tree that was there, that is no longer there. This is rubble. I used that a little bit to infill the foundation to make the concrete stretch, and these are some blocks I reclaimed that I will put in a pump house over there where we had the well drilled. So this is looking good. We'll leave this now for a couple of weeks and we'll start on the piggery. Started to clear out a little bit, trying to see what's left of the wall here, trying to see how deep this will go. Looks like it's about 1.5 feet, maybe 2.5 feet there, 1.5 feet here of topsoil or leaves that have decomposed into a very fine mulch. So we'll see how much we can get out of that. Anything we're digging out here, we're putting into the field there, just to try and level it off. It's a little bit uneven from some tractor tracks and some cattle hoof. This is the work Claire did yesterday, or 2 days ago at this point, making access to the back fields. This is now going to be our front door, and digging up quite a lot of stones for us to use. So we have a foundation there, we have a foundation at the top. We just need to dig this out now. I had hoped to put some services down there. Claire reckons this is a boulder, so we need to excavate all of this by hand, just to see what we can do. But chances are we're going to have to run the piping through the piggery. So yeah, dig out the piggery, take down this wall. You can see the construction isn't the best. I'm not sure. I might be able to recycle some of these blocks as well. We'll see. I'm going to leave the foundation though, because I do like this foundation. As we can see there, if that really is a boulder, a lot of the house would have been built on boulders actually. So when, 150 years ago, when they were picking out where to put their houses, they looked for natural rock formations, clear out in between the rock formations and just layer up the stone. So this kitchen, you can see here, is on about 2 feet of foundation, and their foundation would have been drywall boulders. And you can see the width of it here, it's about the same size, and that would have just been infilled with clay. So I had a notion to build the foundation here, so if the wall is going to be about this height, that's going to be floor level with a bit of insulation lower. I thought it might be nice, I guess. Nobody fed the cat this morning. She's never this affectionate. So I thought it might be nice to continue the stones here, to continue the wall. Maybe that's being a bit too fanciful. Maybe we'll just use concrete blocks, or worst case scenario, shuttering and concrete, just to finish off this back kitchen. We'll keep these as is and just co-join a bit of a concrete wall, and then we'll timber frame up the rest and carry on to the roof line. So that's what we got up to the last few days. It was good to have some family here to help us. It was a bit of a rest day yesterday. Slow start today, and I was just doing editing, and I can see in at least 3 other videos I've said how I'm going to start demolishing this building, and actually it's exactly what I'm going to do today. Swing open the door, you can see what we have in here. We used this as a utility because the roof actually was fairly new, and so this was the driest place when we first got here. We've since moved our fridge, washing machine, dryer to another one of the sheds, and I am going to move, there's 2 sleepers there and just some large boards, floorboards I'd say here, and I'm going to try to set up a bench in the workshop, move these out. Then I need to start to move the pump, which we currently have here, and the filters. I'm going to try and move them out here, so I might have to build another pump house there. So work surfaces, pump, possibly the roof, and then I will need to demolish some walls. I'm still in 2 minds whether I demolish this wall here. We're going to have quite a large window about this size here, so that needs to come out. I'm just wondering whether I'll keep the stonework on both sides. I would say that this has been added to at some point, so the stonework at the top is a lot skinnier than the bottom, so it's not actually bowing. They just put the stone to the front of the building and they kind of backfilled and just rendered here just to make it look more pleasant. And there's quite a lot of concrete shuttering here where I presume, I don't know, maybe they had a fence hanging off it, or they just wanted to reinforce the opening. So in 2 minds about that. It's pretty straight from the outside in any case, but I'll probably wait till I have the roof off and I see how difficult this wall is to demolish. Difficulty and the amount of time it's going to take me will determine a lot. And I think this window is beyond repair. Look at that. Phone call coming in. I will leave you to it. About an hour time lapse, but I forgot to press the record button. So I've started to take this workbench apart. There were bolts down this end into the concrete blocks, bolt holes and bolts, and up this end there was iron bar, kind of concreted into here. This is bent over, so I must do something about it. There's iron thrown in everywhere, used as hinges. There was clearly a roof here previously before they re-roofed. It's the creakiest door ever. It was really cool different types of hinges and locks, but they do creak a little bit. I think at one point this was used as a car garage. There's interesting springs and clips, circle clips. There was actually a really cool, I'll show you in a minute, 1962 or 68, 1 penny piece, an Irish penny that had a hole put through it, and I use as a keyring now for the tractor lawnmower. So, an important part of the demolitions here, I'm going to remove that door because it's affecting the recordings. Anyway, an important part of demolitions here is looking at the interesting ways they made things. So this is a hinge. It's just a chiseled or scraped bit of wood stuck into a hole with a few stones, and this is, well, it's not a hinge, it's I don't know, something like an angle bracket to hold up a shelf. Other places they just put more steel bar, stuck them in the shelf or stuck them in the wall to make a shelf, and then loads of nails. One thing I was told about is that this house has been rewired probably about 5 or 6 times. This house has been rewired 5 or 6 times, so we have this really old wiring. Man, shut up. So we have this really old wiring. Oh my gosh. That doesn't really go anywhere. Which begs the question, why leave it up there in the first place? So I will have to trace all of these sockets and cables and stuff before I pull them down. This is another one. I think this is a socket set that went to a barn. It's really heavy gauge, almost like battery cable. But I must chase this one and take it apart. And I'll leave them all outside. These are some other sockets we have. And that is a spur off this line. I think that goes across to a light over there. There's a light up here. We're getting a lot of flies, actually. Anyway, the main socket then seems to go back here and to this isolator switch, which presumably shuts off everything in here. Where's this one go? This is the, oh yes, this goes here, fair enough. Okay, so then this would be the main cable, and that comes from, I would say, quickly have a look, I would say that's one of them that come from the outside directly to the socket. Yeah. So I would say that one seems to come here, straight up, and I would say in here, in right there. The big cables are actually the electricity at the side of the house, and this cable went to the shed over there, so that must be coming in here. That's shed 1, I think that's shed 2. That's really cool. I found that. So I've already demolished shed 1, so we can see the shed 1 trip switches down. So if I take the shed 2, or this trip switch down, just cut off this cable, which goes all the way back here. This is more of it. I'll have to pull that back now. But at least we have one that comes in off the shed MCB. Comes through here to this isolator, and then it goes to the rest of the sockets we have in this shed. So the really weird thing, is this is the power that I was showing you inside there, and that goes nowhere. I've taken it off. It was on the wall here, but I've taken it off. And yet there's still power in the shed somewhere. Show you what I mean. Okay, so this is the only power cable coming from the house. If we turn off that isolator, then we should have no power in here. And that's the shed 2 socket, but we still have power here. We still have power and all. Oh, what's Toff doing there? Okay, so I turn off both shed and CBs, and we still have power in these barns, so we don't know where the power comes from. We have been told that the ground here has been dug and redug and new wire put over old wire, and so there's lots of wire underneath here, all under the concrete. So we've been told to be very cautious if we're going to dig it up. For the most part, I have 2 MCBs, shed 1, shed 2, and I'm happy enough that this is for shed 2. That's the joys of chasing power cables during demolition. Anyway, interesting to me. I'll throw you back on time lapse. Okay, so another reason for you guys just to be vigilant if you're taking on one of these projects. I was happy that I tripped shed 1 when we demolished the other shed. We traced the wire here back to shed 2. I tripped that MCB on the breaker board I'm happy that nothing else is working in the shed. I was taking down these wires right here. I saw a plug just hanging over the door. I didn't touch it. I can't remember seeing the plug today. So I just pulled the plug back. And seemingly it's going in towards where the kitchen was. So maybe, I was thinking, this is how they ran power to the kitchen. If you look at the actual plug, it's one of the very old round ones. Very, very old. They don't use them anymore. And then I just saw this plug here, and I remember this from my grandparents' house. They had these small little round plugs. So I figured that's probably from the same time. It's probably not connected to anything. But before I snip it, literally, I was like, oh, that. Let me check it. So, how do I check it? I have a multimeter for specific measurements when the wires are open, but when the wires are not open, I have a clamp. If we put the clamp, that fucking door. Okay, if we put the clamp around the dead wire, we can see that we have 0 AC current detected here. That's what I'm looking for. And when I put the clamp around, even as I'm coming close to it, you can see the AC current is increasing. I don't even really have to clamp it, but when I clamp it, it's detecting about 0.05. If you split that up between the live, it's going up to 0.07, and the negative is 0.01. Or actually, there's no live or negative on an AC, but that's the switch anyway that sends the power. I have no idea where that goes, so that's going to make demolition trickier, because I got to chisel this out of the wall and chase it back. But if you are doing these buildings, definitely have a multimeter, but I think absolutely invest in a digital clamp. Very handy. We shall continue.